when you like walk into the back and hear everybody clapping and applauding, and with y'all, of course, it was multiple ovations, so we appreciate it very much. I am Angelique Jackson, one of the senior entertainment writers over at Variety, and it is my pleasure and honor to be spending this evening with you and some of the amazing and incredibly talented, but also just wonderful people behind the color purple. So, let's go ahead and get this started. Bringing out first, the woman who really assembled this ensemble cast, this now SAG Award nominated ensemble cast, and CSA Award nominated casting director, Tiffany Little Canfield. Roles as, well, I guess I'll just say, in one of her first major studio roles, PHYLICIA Pearl MPASI. Next, you will remember all of those spinning dance moves in Workin'. That would be Mr. Corey Hawkins. Least, reprising her Tony Award nominated performance as Sophia, and now Academy Award nominated performance as Sophia, Miss Danielle Brooks. Exactly. I mean, how does it feel? You basically just came in from the future. Did you predict that kind of ovation coming all the way from New Zealand?
No, I didn't. I just got back from New Zealand. So I was in the future, and now I'm back in the past because of the time difference. So I'm all over the place. But this is pretty cool, just even hearing you say that introduction, because I've been in New Zealand and they know me, but they don't know me out there. So this was the first time I'm really actually taking in the fact that I am Oscar nominated now. This is great, but I have to say, there's no way I would be here if it wasn't for my cast. And you can't do this by yourself. You can't act by yourself, so I thank you all for helping me to get to, especially you, Corey, to this level. So,
all right, Juilliard.
We're gonna cut up a little bit.
As you think about coming from the boards of Juilliard to here, what does it mean for the two of y'all to sit here on this stage together and continue to celebrate where you've come?
God is so good. I mean, we all know like how I'm just so glad. I'm coming from the past. I just got off a flight. I'm like 8 hours ahead of everybody right now, so I'm a little. But honestly, like to be back here and to be talking about this film again, to be celebrating what I think is a beautiful piece of work, a beautiful piece of art, to carry that legacy. But to do it, as you said, with Danielle, I haven't seen you since you've been Oscar nominated, and it's crazy. No, we're not gonna cry. But it's like, again, we say it all the time, but I know the struggle and the pain and the hurt and everything that we fought through, and the discipline and the rigor and training that it took to get us to this point. I remember being in that room with you auditioning. Our class went into school, into her office to audition when we were kids, and we didn't see this, So God's vision is greater than yours could ever be, and that's what this movie also reminds us of. Every time I watch it, every time I read the book, I'm just thinking about how grateful we are to be on each of our individual journeys. And who knows where it's going to lead you, because God knows we didn't think it would lead us
Not
to.
at all.
You know?
We weren't thinking about this. We were just wanting to be storytellers, and we were being dreamers. And we just wanted to share our gift and be vessels to tell that story. And we would, and still do, would do anything for the work. To be that, you know, to do that too. So yeah, that's great.
What do you remember about those little 21-year-olds?
It was a strong class.
I think it was one of the best classes.
It was, well, and I was gonna, after you guys were like, all right, this is so weird using this. We're all classically trained, right? Just say it.
Yeah.
But you guys were the class where we were working on camera stuff, and you said, are we gonna get to sing for you guys?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? And we added and pulled out, and we were like, do you guys sing?
And we're like, yes, we do sing. Whatever you want, we can dance and all of that. So eager, you know.
Oh, that was so incredible. We were so happy, because it was like, wait a minute, why aren't we singing? Incredible.
So then when you set out these, I'm not counting because I don't do math, I'm a journalist, years later, to cast this film, does the memory immediately go there when you, obviously, you know, you had worked with Corey in The Heights, do you go, and of course you had worked with Danielle on Broadway, so do you immediately put those puzzle pieces together of like, oh, I remember when they were singing and dancing together, could they be our Harpo, and was that, how did it work for you, Tiffany?
Well, what was interesting is we had a new artist in the mix, because we've worked with Scott Sanders, the producers, quite a bit. And so, obviously on the original and the revival of The Color Purple, plus a couple of other films, including In Heights. And, but we had Blitz Bazawule, who I really thought it was important when we met him to get into his head and kind of leave behind our kind of notions and thoughts and look at everyone through his vision. Luckily, talent rises to the top, so we ended where we hoped we would be, but it, you know, you still want to respect the process of the director.
What was the key to kind of creating this cast chemistry? Because you look, and it is just from top to bottom, absolutely, and as we of course see in the film, it's stacked in a way that everybody is so adept at being a star, but also at so seamlessly meshing together and supporting one another. What did that process look like of building that from your end, Tiffany?
I mean, we have a lot of theater-trained actors who know how to go from medium to medium because they have a basis of training and an understanding of text. And so, and even Fantasia, who we think of like, oh, from American Idol, she had done the Broadway and the tour. She had really, she had really trod those boards, you know.
Broadway, After Midnight as well.
Yes, exactly. And though Phylicia was new to us, trained, like when I saw the resume, I was like, I mean, this is the kind of person you're looking for to, I think people think it's walking around and going like, oh, do you want to come in and audition for, it's not like that. You're really trying to create an ensemble of, with a common language. And I feel like this is the best, we could do, like this is what we're shooting for.
I love that description, a common language, because it feels like, and I know we've kind of talked about that you all kind of see the art in the same way, and it goes kind of beyond the training. Phylicia, for you, this being your first big role and stepping into Celie's shoes, what was it like to kind of approach everyone and recognize that moment where you're like, we do all speak the same language?
Well, I was not about to embarrass myself, so I every book that I could find, every interview, article, anything that had the term like Celie in it, I read and just took in, because go back to what Tiffany was saying, just in the training I learned, like, to do the research first before even looking at the text, and then getting the script. I did you know, the work that I know to do, like beating out a scene and like looking for intention and asking questions and like finding the secrets within a scene. But I really had to depend on that and then release it and just ask like, okay, just let me be a vessel for this character, because I've been doing the work not only prepping for this film specifically, but in general, just since I graduated school. So I knew that I was ready to take it on, and I knew that I wouldn't have received it if I wasn't ready to take it on. So I really just had to let it go. And just, you know, I think as an artist, our job is just to tell the story, and I just was like, if I can appear authentically as myself every day on set, then it's gonna allow Celie to speak through me, and that's kind of really how I approached it. And then of course, watching them whenever I could, going to set and just watching them work was like a great masterclass to have.
And vice versa. Vice versa. Seriously.
Thank you. What I'm curious. I just had a thought. What was everybody's first day?
Well, my first day, which always kind of not a drag, but I don't enjoy it. I'm gonna tell you, when you start to shoot the last scene of the film first. So that's actually what we did. We did around the Angel Oak, as we call it, the end when we're all together, holding hands and all our white, was out my day of work, my first day of work. And it's to me, I just don't like it, because you want to build that thing together. You know what I mean? You want to come together and create, and there's might be things that you find along the way that you can add to the end. But I think it actually worked out so well because there was a buoyancy and a vibrancy that all of us had, and an energy that we carried of excitement to start to tell this story that I think served the end, versus normally when actors get to the end of filming, you ready to go and you looking at when my next project. So I actually think that it served us well, but that was my first day.
And yours too, right, Corey?
Yeah, it was our first, my first. It was well, no, it wasn't your first day, but yeah, you guys had to go to Jekyll Island and do all of the that incredible stuff over there. But yeah, I think exactly what Danny's saying. It is all about how you start, you know. And so, while it's tricky, of course, when shooting on film to, you know, shoot out a sequence, what Danielle said is right. Like, we held hands around that tree, and it was a bit of a prayer, you know, and that the ancestors go with us on this journey, and that we bless this journey. And I honestly think that's ultimately what it was. So that by the time we completed it, you think back on that first day and you go, oh, you know, so.
It blessed the shoot, absolutely. And Felicia, for you being in Jekyll, so that was those kind of early scenes in the tree, you and Hallie. You know, as you kind of step into not only like this set, but y'all are shooting on location, like it is, you are in the color purple. What was that experience like?
I didn't have any time to even think about it. First day, first shot, first take is what's the first thing that you see in the film of me and Hallie, and they were just like, go. And I was like, but I don't know where the camera goes. Like, how do I find it? Where's the lens? Like, where's the mark? And they're like, you got it, go. And I was like, okay, great. But it just, you know, goes back to the relationship that we built through rehearsals. I would even say the first time we met Tiffany in the room, it was just like we both, still auditioning, but we both were kind of like, I think we're both gonna get this, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks, like very excited. So yeah, we just really focused on building chemistry. We would spend a lot of time outside of filming together because we were kind of in our own little bubble while the rest of them were filming other scenes, so we would be together and just building that relationship. And it's so wonderful to hear the feedback that it is resonating on screen, because we really did become like sisters off screen, and I'm so happy that it's showing and people are really seeing it.
There's the sisterhood, but there's also that incredible number that you have, the solo number, She Be Mine. When there's a lot that is doing. We're, you know, getting our magical realism, you know, a big part of Blitz's vision, but it also is, you know, that's a lot to kind of carry on your own. What did that process look like for you, and what do you remember about, you know, when he called action?
It started during the audition process. I'd gotten a very loose demo, which was mostly just like piano notes, someone kind of singing, but I'd never heard this song before. As an actor, especially theater actor, that is a dream, to be able to originate something, because so often you're stepping into something someone else has done. So you know, my instinct was more so, okay, why don't you bring in like your musical theater hat? And it was really, really nice to have Blitz and everyone tell me, like almost like release the training that you have and make this your own. You can put your own voice on it, your own spin on it. And I really got to have time to like study blues music and rhythm, because it's not something I normally sing. Like singing the blues notes that are in it were very difficult. I took voice lessons and consulted with a voice coach to be able to really bring justice, and like Blitz really describing to me like, well, she's bending the note for a certain reason. Like find that reason and use that intention in the song, and I just had so much room to play. And then filming it was amazing. We got pushed back a lot because it's on location, so there were weather issues, there were safety issues, but I really did feel as though I was Celie in a way, because like filming was my first film, so it was kind of stressful and it was a lot of pressure. But that day was just like, you just need to have fun, because that's what she's having. It's like the first time we're ever gonna see this character just be joyful and buoyant on her own, and really this is the imagination number, so really just take it and run with it.
And I love, you know, as you were talking about starting at the end, I was thinking about the introduction number, because, well, I guess not number, but the introduction scene. I feel like it's one of those moments when you walk it, yeah, when you.
Oh yeah, yes, okay. I was like, what? Okay.
In some ways, I'm understanding also in some ways how it did end up working out better. That you'd kind of gotten to the end of the arc. You two have such a close relationship already. Let's now wind the clock back and see how it starts. What do you remember about popping into that? I don't know why I can't think of it's not a saloon, but
Oh yeah, the men's
into the
parlor.
gentleman's club.
Yeah.
For the first time.
Oh, that was fun. Oh my God, it was fun. It's such a Sophia move too, to walk into a men's parlor and own the place herself. I think it was a lot of fun to work with. I'll start with Coleman, because he's also a vet at this thing, and you know when you work with him, he's gonna keep the ball in the air. You know what I mean? He's gonna keep it alive, and anything that you throw at him, he'll be able to bounce back at you. So we were doing all kind of stuff, and Corey can attest. How do you describe my acting work?
This is the beautiful part about Danny and Coleman, but Danielle is, and you've always been this way, just this inventive artist, and she comes with so many ideas. Sometimes I said it's like I was like, the next time she walks through that door, she's gonna be juggling dominoes. And I promise you. And she'll bring it in. It's always connected to whatever she's doing, you know. And so I don't want to take that away. It's not that. It's always connected, and it's so. But she's so good at just finding just different ways of surprising you and surprising herself too.
Yeah, I love to live in that place of surprise and being okay with failing.
That's right.
You know, it's okay to not get the take right, because you can try it again, but as long as you're coming from an honest place, that's all that really matters. And to me, I want to find the details of the character, because that's what connects you to each other. You know, I think about when I said respect, that came from, first of all, studying and really thinking about all of the syllables. And I know for me, when I grew up, my mother would really articulate her words when she wanted me to listen. And I do the same to my husband now. And I over-articulate my words. So I did the same with respect. Because I feel like those little details really, it reminds you of something. You know what I mean? And the beautiful part too of this, coming into it with Corey, is that there was a built-in trust with each other. So with Coleman, you know, we got our thing because he's seasoned, but Corey and I, we got the history together, and we've failed in front of each other 100 times and seen each other when we're at our best acting, you know, moments, that we could really find some beautiful things together. And I knew anything that I threw this brother, he was going to be able to catch the ball, as you so beautifully did with Harpo.
The beautiful part about that scene, like you said, it establishes so well the dynamics between the three of them. and what we're going to see play out. Because it is a scene that really is so much about, yes, the dialogue, that volley back and forth with you two, but it's also about what you're doing, Corey, as Harpo in that scene, because he's just as in the middle as can be. What did that look like for you as you're, watching, but still very actively participating?
For Harpo, it's all about, his journey is all about what isn't being said and what he's not allowed to say, or what he doesn't feel he's allowed to say as a man. And that was just so important in this journey with Harpo and Sophia. A lot of times when we think about the men in The Color Purple, there's a very specific view about them. And my intent coming in was always to lift these women up first, and then as Harpo, just to make sure that we find the love, we find his song, we find that Black Boy Joy. And because it's there. This man builds his woman a house. How many of us doing that? But there's something special about the way that they love and how they fight and how they find each other again. And so that scene is a microcosm of that. I love characters that are quiet. I love sort of like getting behind the eyes of, I say that with all of the characters that I play, because it's always about the essence of who they are and just what's not being said, what is he observing? And then where does he end up? He finds his song, he finds his love, and I think that's important.
All right, you mentioned men not building their women houses, but so we have to talk about working then. Like you said, getting that number, getting that song, it feels like one of those few times where we really get a chance to see Harpo and who he wants to be, who he imagines himself to be. What were the kind of keys to that number for you?
Well, Blitz, first of all, I fought for it because they basically took all of Harpo's songs out of it. And I was like, what's going on, y'all? Like, I want to, I was like, didn't y'all see it nice? I know. So I was like, but anyways, I fought for it because I think, and Coleman and I have talked about this a lot, but I think that Harpo should have a song, and Coleman talks about why Mr. doesn't have a song and what that means. And so I fought for it and finally Blitz was literally like 5 minutes, literally, we're sitting at the table, Reed, and Blitz comes in and he's like, step outside, I got the song. And I was like, now? So I go outside, he sings it for me, I come back in and I gotta sing it for the table read. And I was like, okay, I'm talking about Quincy Jones, Oprah, everybody on the table read. And I'm sitting there like, okay.
And he kills it.
And
he murders it. It's amazing.
Thank you. But it was just that, to be able to, and something you touched on is, and I just want to highlight this because I think it's important when telling our stories as people of color. A lot of times people watch films like The Color Purple, and they think that the work and what's there comes naturally and that it is easy for us. And it is important to remind people that this is work, this is training, this is art, this is learning, this is skill, just as much skill as it takes for anybody else. These things are not easy. I don't get up in the morning and start working and doing all of that. These characters don't get up and go to the places that she goes to. We don't, the blues and all that stuff, it's studied. And I think it's just important because sometimes when you watch a film like this, you think, oh, well, that's just what they do. It isn't. We're tapping into something that I think is greater than ourselves. It is a part of who we are because it's a part of our ancestry. But I think it's just important to note that it takes work.
As we talk about work and skill and nuance, Sophia runs the gamut. She's all things. But very specifically in that scene around the dinner table, there's this extraordinary, that's the only way to describe it. An extraordinary moment happens in the moment where she finds her joy again. How do you pull something like that off? And also, how do you pull something like that off as many times as we all know it takes for a movie?
Ooh. Man, thank you for saying that. I think it does definitely start with what Corey is talking about. It is a skill set. You do have to build a toolbox. And so I feel like over the years I have been building that toolbox. One being with Orange is the New Black. Thank you. I learned pretty early the power of comedy. I learned pretty early how that can hook people's like heart chakras. And I feel like that's what I was trying to do in that moment when Sophia goes from the laughter into the cry at the dinner table. It's like, if I can get you with the laugh and bring you into that laughter, then I can hook into your heart chakra and you can start to really see who we are and the humanity of who we are as Black women. That's all I wanted to do, is for us to say, like, I know that we look different and our struggles are different, but man, I feel her, I see her. And I feel like that's exactly what we're trying to do with our art, is to connect with other people. So I felt like that's what that moment called on. But it also called on calling on the ancestors, what I call spirit work, ancestry work. And I remember, because we had to do that scene several times over several days, and you know, you go in, you do your work, and unfortunately when you do your work in COVID, some people catch COVID, and when we first shot that, it was just Corey and myself at the dinner table. And so you're delivering all of that to nobody, you know what I mean? And then they call you back and they're like, Danielle, well, we got some more of the cast and we want to reshoot it again. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm a team player, let's do it. And then we do the scene, and we did not have everybody. We thought we had, you know, landed it. And then they call you again. And they say, Danielle, we need you to come back. And I'm like, at that point, I kind of looked at Blitz and I said, I'm not gonna do it. Because it takes so much. And I think that's what it goes back to what Corey is saying. It's a skill set that we have built, but it's also, it's so taxing on the body. Your body doesn't know that you're acting. You know, your everything, it was a lot to give and to give and to give. And I had called on those women like the Fannie Lou Hamers that have actually lived the life that Sophia has lived, and who've been imprisoned, wrongfully accused. I just thought about all of those women that I met in Orange is the New Black that were actually incarcerated and told me their stories. And so I had used all of that, my grandmother and my godmother, all of their stories. And I'm like, they don't want to talk to me no more. They done with me. But I remember calling Miss Oprah and saying, you know, they want to do this one more time, and I don't think I have it. I'm feeling very depleted, and I don't think I can deliver this. And she just reminded me, like, they are already with you and you have everything that you need. And that's when I go back to, like, what we do is so much greater than ourselves, and it's really not about us. And I kept thinking when I was asked to you know, do this scene one more time, you know, if those women, when I saw this, you know, Broadway show in 2005, when I witnessed The Color Purple and was inspired to do this for a living, if those women would have gave me 50% that day, I don't know if I would be here today. So I said, Danielle, you got to give everything you have, because what you're doing is really helping set up someone else for their purpose. So that's what kept me going and delivering everything.
And that's, as you said, what this is. It is purpose-driven work. And I think, you know, you've done a lot of these. We've been together on this journey. As you now come, I guess, maybe not full circle in your purpose, but as you kind of start to experience other things and experience other characters, what part of Sophia and Harpo and Celie are you all taking with you?
You're the Academy Award nominee. You go.
Thank you, girl. Soon to be over here and over here too, okay? I took so much stuff from her. I've talked several times about how she's helped me to own my power. I went through a lot of imposter syndrome, if you haven't heard the story, when I was doing the Broadway version of this, really just battling myself of, am I worthy of this moment? And playing Sophia has taught me that, but also I feel like in this moment, you know, to much is given, much is required, right? And so I feel like I've been given and blessed with a lot, but it also comes with a lot. And she's given me resilience. She's shown me that, like, the same way that Sophia, like, had lost her spirit, her umph and joy for life, there's been moments that I have felt that way about this art form, and I've wanted to quit and give up. But I just know that she's taught me resilience and to keep going. And so that is one of the biggest gifts that I'm really grateful for to have gotten from Sophia.
Harpo, he's taught me a lot. And it's crazy because while you're working on, you know, the characters, they speak to you, but they speak to you in a different way after you let them go. And so it's helped heal my relationship personally with my father, who came to the premiere. It's the first time ever seeing or being in anything like that with me. And so I appreciate that. But I learned to love Harpo. And it's just taught me to love my characters a little bit more. And it's also taught me that because it is taxing and because this work takes a lot from us and demands a lot of us, to be very selective about the things you say yes to and be very clear about the things you say no to, because they are part of who we are. And so Harpo has the things he says yes to, the things he says no to in his journey. It's been beautiful for me to live in that, and now I just want to take that with me moving forward. I'm just blessed to be able to do, you know, the things that I do, so, yeah.
I think I'm taking from Celie this idea that kindness is a form of resistance. Because I've talked about, you know, in some interviews that I think one of the most heroic actions in the film is when Celie brings Sophia dinner at the jail cell, and what consequences could have and probably should have looked like for her back then, but she did it anyway and showed up every single week. And I know that Celie has really opened my heart to finding more empathy and more love and more care for people. And really what she's taught me is that it starts at home and it starts with me and finding space to be kinder to myself and loving myself more, you know, taking on this role. There's a narrative around it. There's a narrative around the beauty, being dark-skinned, you know, being the sister that's not chosen, being worked like a pack mule. And as they said, like, your body doesn't know, it's not real. So I definitely felt that a lot filming, but just having to keep going and having to get to the end, because I know this is someone's lived experience, and someone, somewhere, some little girl, some woman, some man is going to relate to this and see the light at the end of the tunnel because of my work. But I can't do that work unless I'm giving myself a lot of grace and a lot of love and a lot of kindness. That's what I'm taking from her.
So grateful to hear how.
I want to know what you taking.
No.
I really felt that the question was specific to acting in the film.
But Tim, you don't think you're getting off totally easy though, because I am curious what you took from this experience of, you know, being in that casting room before that first table read, seeing these, you know, these incredible headshots all lined up together, and recognizing that you know that this is like a superhero lineup. What is it that you took away from that experience that you're going to carry into building your next ensembles?
I'm not saying this to be funny, but truthfully, one of the things I realized is how amazing it was, and I'm gonna get emotional, to put this cast together and to do it almost entirely virtually. It's one of my biggest regrets, actually, because the few times that we got to actually be in the room with Blitz, I think Blitz was on a Zoom but we were together with Hallie. Meetings were had virtually on Zoom, you know, Blitz was in Atlanta. And I just, every time we were in the room, I thought, God, I wish we were getting to do everything in the room together, because it was so amazing, the energy of even auditions, you know, people who didn't get cast, there was still, the work they brought in the room was incredible. Like, it was so beautiful, and I remember just feeling like, I cannot wait till COVID is over and we can get back in the room. That's a big takeaway, but also the imagination, the belief we had in the talent we were seeing, even though it was virtually. We could see through those obstacles and still find the truth, which is, and I think, the best cast. I'm just really, really proud of this cast. So I'm really proud of us, and especially Blitz, for his first film of this size, to make those decisions over Zoom and Zoom again and more Zooms, and I don't know. I'm really proud of him that he accomplished this.
Our entire creative, everybody, honestly, the crew. You think, you know, we're the front. You know, we come out and do the Q&As, but there's just so many people who became family for us, and we all know this from working on sets and what that means. You know, you spend hours working with these people, and they pour their love into the wigs and the costumes and the dirt, you know, greens, you know, all of that. Like, it's honestly astonishing. The machine is too, you know, overword, but the family.
It's an ensemble, right? It's an ensemble.
Yeah, big ensemble.
We all have to play machine when we're in drama school, right?
Yeah, well,
Like on like day 1 and 2. Or is that just me? Like, I'm gonna go like this.
Touching
and
fake
then
grass too, playing cows and horses, yeah.
Machine is good, because if one cog doesn't work, the whole thing falls apart. And there was not a single rusty cog in this color purple wheel. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Thank y'all. Thank you for coming and watching this. Thank y'all.
It's okay, I'm done.